I'm Juliana Hanau, and I'm here with Kathy, our CEO at Rudkin Productions and Digital Domino. We have our guest, Brian Binway, the marketing director of Bartlett Cocke, and this is episode 3, The Domino Effect, a marketing playbook. Brian, we are so glad that you're here with us today.
I'm happy to be here.
Hey.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming by. We are locals to the town of Boerne, Texas. So tell us how long you've been in Boerne.
Yeah, I moved to Boerne over 10 years ago. You know, my career has given me a chance to work at the Capitol and in Houston and some really larger places. And I moved to Boerne about 10 years ago. My wife and our kids are here. My wife is a teacher and our kids go to the Boerne School District. And we just love it here. Lots of great friends, lots of great partners, and just a wonderful community to live in. And we really enjoy it.
Yeah, we're so glad that you're here. I think I'm kind of close to being the originals. I've been here 30 years.
That's a long time.
I know. For those of you who don't know, Boerne is really a suburb of San Antonio, Texas, if you're listening from somewhere else. And so we're glad to have Brian here. Give us a little history about your background. You said you moved to Boerne. Was there a specific reason? Or tell us your background and how you came all the way to Bartlett Cocke.
Yeah, my background, I was a sports broadcaster for a really long time. I worked for a team very similar to the Harlem Globetrotters as their announcer. And so I got to travel to 30 countries and all over the United States. From there, did hockey play-by-play. I'm from upstate New York, Lake Placid, New York, where the Miracle on Ice happened in the 1980 Olympics. Wow. So I was a hockey broadcaster, a professional hockey broadcaster for a while, then gratefully worked as a national host on Yahoo Sports Radio, where I had a show on 800 stations across the country. And then from there, moved to Boerne, worked for Schreiner University in Kerrville, did some student recruitment, some marketing there. Then from there, went to the Texas legislature, worked for our former state rep. Kyle Biederman was his district director. So got to meet a lot of people in Boerne and New Braunfels, Fredericksburg. And then from the legislature, went to Boerne ISD as their director of communications, did that for 5 years. Loved our former superintendent, Dr. Tommy Price, mentor of mine, phenomenal individual. And then that leads me to Bartlett Cocke as director of marketing, and been here for about 6 months. And my career trajectory, has always been about brand awareness, brand recognition, promotion, celebrating the wins, informing the community. And so it's been a natural fit. And I've just enjoyed my time at Bartlett Cocke for 6 months. And it's given me a chance to put all of the skills that I've earned throughout the years to work for this phenomenal company and trying to spread the word of the great work that our men and women do.
I've seen your logo and your signs the whole time I've been here in San Antonio for 30 years. So it was really cool when you guys called me. I was very surprised. So tell me, how did you find us? How did you find Rudkin Productions?
Well, since I've been here for 10 years living in Boerne, always knew about Rudkin Productions and what you do for your clients, the community work, and of course, your daughter MFA's work with Aid the Silent. And we never got to work together when I was in the school district because every school district says we don't have money for certain things. And so I had a team of my own, and we did all of our own stuff. And so when the opportunity presented itself at Bartlett Cocke, where we work with partners and we work with different firms, you were the first team that I thought of because I'm from here. Your reputation precedes you, which is great. And I just known about your community involvement and just how your clients were pleased. And so you were the first call that I made. And the partnership has been fantastic because it's a collaboration. It's not, there's no dictatorship here, right? Like we work together, we collaborate, and we work very well. And so that's why we called you, because of the communities that you serve and just the great reputation that you had. And I'm very pleased that we were able to go this route, because it's been a really great partnership, and I know there's a lot more to come for us down the road together as well.
We're excited. We like being on your team, and you are excellent because you provide so much content and direction, and just makes our job so much easier.
Well, I mean, we have a great team in the marketing and business development department, and we have great job sites that send us videos and that send us photos, and we have a great bank of content, as you all have seen, as we've sent you all that stuff. And so it's a great team effort, and it takes a lot of people to make it happen, make it happen is one of our core values at Bartlett Cocke. And we just have that team effort that collaborates with you. And it's been harmonious, and there's a lot of really great things we still want to do.
I know, we're excited. We won't tell all the stuff we're planning, but yes, we're excited to be on it. Tell us a little more about Bartlett Cocke. You guys have been in business for 60 years, which is crazy. And give us a little bit of the statistics. I don't think people realize how big of company you guys are.
Yeah, Bartlett Cocke has been around for over 60 years, and we have 3 offices. We have San Antonio, that's the corporate office, and the South Texas regional office. Austin is our Central Texas region. Yeah. Houston is our East Texas region. We do a lot of work at Texas A&M and College Station. A lot of projects in Laredo, Corpus Christi. We just finished up with a couple of bigger projects in Wichita Falls and the DFW area. Currently have about 55 current projects across the state of Texas, about 570 employees, and most of them are in the field doing the work. But also we're employee owned, which we can talk about later. We have 116 employee owners. You know us as a K-12 leader. We've built well over 400 projects in the last 30 years in K-12. Those projects total over $26 billion in costs. Wow. So that's what people know us for. But our teams have done a great job with a lot of other very large projects. So we do a lot of higher ed work as well. We have some work going on right now at the University of Houston downtown. We're building their Welcome Center. We've done a lot of different projects in San Antonio and Houston and in Austin for universities. In Laredo, for example, Texas A&M International, we built a lot of things on that campus. Texas A&M San Antonio, we actually built the first few buildings on that campus. And then we also just finished their housing, their first housing on campus. And so we do a lot of that higher ed work, but also a big thing, industrial manufacturing. We're with all the data centers and distribution centers, we've done 300,000, 400,000 square foot data centers for some private companies, confidential clients, also Toyota, Valero, all of these really large corporations of industrial. And so as you look at our strategic plan, yes, you know us as a K-12 builder, and we're the leader in K-12. But as we look to diversify, and as you look at demographics, people are moving to Texas in droves, and industries are moving to Texas in droves. And so as our strategic plan moves forward, the goal is that we continue to build on that portfolio of data centers, industrial manufacturing, and higher ed, because we have experts in those fields also that do tremendous work on all of those different verticals. And so that's a little bit about Bartlett Cocke and just the success that the company has had for over 60 years. Texas born, we're located in Texas. So that's a really big key with who we serve and what types of projects that we build.
I love that. Can we talk a little bit about your numbers? Because this was crazy when I have it in front of me. So you guys you've been in business 60 years, but the last 30 years you've been collecting data, apparently. So you've had a total of over 680 projects, but that's just in the last 30 years?
That's just the last 30 years.
So we don't even know what happened the first 30 years.
Yeah, and all the data that our marketing and BD team and our leadership pulls, it's from the last 30 years. And so I talked about the, 26 billion of K-12 work, but there's well over, like we talked about 680 projects of 26 billion of those costs. And then you look at, like we talked about, the breakdown of markets. We have K-12, which you talked about, 350 billion. But what we talked about with higher ed, almost 40 projects in 30 years, almost $5 billion of those costs as well. We talk about commercial, over 80 of those projects. Data centers, people don't realize how massive data centers are. And we've done several large data centers in the San Antonio area. Hopefully we'll get some work in the Austin area on some future data centers. But I think another big one too that we're looking at is industrial. We've had over 20 completed industrial projects totaling almost $2 billion. So just the portfolio is diverse. But as we continue to, like I said, progress and industries continue to move, we're going to see those numbers change. You know, if you're driving around San Antonio or you're driving around Houston, odds are we've built a healthcare building there. You know, a lot of the Christus medical centers, you know, we've built almost 20 healthcare centers or hospitals or children's hospitals in the past 30 years. And so that's the diversification of what our teams are able to do and how the projects have been spread out by vertical and also by the regions as well.
Yeah. And you had the best year last year that you've ever had. Is that correct?
It was record revenue last year for Bartlett Cocke. And, you know, if you look, especially after 2020, when the pandemic hit, and universally everybody took a slight dip, but then it was so impressive how the leadership at Bartlett Cocke and the workers and the teammates on the ground that make it happen climbed back up. And so we had, if you count all of the revenue, including our JV, our joint venture partners, so another large company that we work together with collaboratively, it was about a $1.3 billion in revenue in 2024. Billion with a B. And I think, you know, the mailer, the direct mailer and the e-blast and the graphics that we used from Rudkin Productions had a by the numbers feel. And that was what we wanted to convey was, like I said earlier, you know us as a K-12 builder. However, we do a lot of really great stuff in different verticals too. And so that's part of what our marketing goal is, part of our goal as a company is to just get that word out, get the notion that we are experts in a lot of these other verticals as well, and have done lots of really important and great work that helps communities.
Yeah. Has there been anything that surprised you working with Bartlett Cocke other than just the magnitude of what they're doing?
Well, you know, that was the first thing that I was going to say was, you know, on the outside looking in, you know, you figure, oh yeah, you know, construction companies build buildings and that's kind of it. But there is so much that goes on from pre-construction and estimating to all the technology that we use with BIM, which is, you know, we can look at buildings in 3D. We can build you 3D models. We have drone pilots. We have automated drones. And so you just look at all of these different departments, scheduling, I mean, purchasing, all of these things. And then you look at our subcontractors and our partners that we work with and how everybody makes it look so seamless. There's so many people involved. And I still am. And whenever I get to visit one of our job sites, which I tend to do quite regularly, I've got another couple next week in Houston that we're going to. We're just at one in San Antonio today. I'll tell all of our field men and women, I'm just fascinated by the work that they do to get the quality and to build it better and to build it faster, but to build it safer as well and to do it better than anybody else does. So that was surprising to me, is just the depth and the breadth of work that we do. And the other thing that really kind of surprised me was just how nice everybody is.
Me too. That has surprised me. You guys are so down to earth.
Honestly, you know, because you think and you look at a construction company that does the amount of work that we do, it's such a family-oriented environment. And everybody, since I've been there, has been so welcoming and so nice and willing to answer questions. And you have that feel of a family type of environment where, you know, if you have a sick kid, you know, take care of your kid. Don't worry about what's happening at work because the teammates will pick up the slack, or you have a family vacation. So it's a really great environment to work in. And I don't know, you know, if people realize just how nice people are at Bartlett Cocke compared to other places. So yeah, those are the two really big things that surprised me, was just the depth and all the stuff that goes on, but then how nice everybody is, considering all the work that the teams do.
Yeah, and the magnitude, for sure. Well, let's talk some marketing.
Let's do it.
That's my favorite subject.
Me too.
So I'm all about the marketing. So you started here. You came in and we kind of told you a little bit about our digital product, but I don't think you were ready to jump off yet at that time. And you had some traditional projects that we got to work on, which was some postcards, some e-blast. How was that experience for you? Was this something like turnaround and service and just the quality? Was that in comparison to the past? Has this been a good experience for you?
It's been phenomenal for us. The customer service that your team provides is top notch. Whether it's working on our postcards, the intricate edits that I might have, quick delivery, quick turnaround. But like I said earlier, it's the collaborative part. There were some things that I thought was a great idea. And then we sat down and you said, well, maybe we might try it this way. And it worked extremely well. And with Juliana as well, with diving into the digital portion that we're doing, it's just been very receptive, very collaborative, quick turnarounds, in-depth explanations of what we want to do and why, the strategy behind it, and then looking at the analytics and diving in, adjusting certain things that we want to get better ROI on, or we want to get better analytics on. So to me, it's been a breath of fresh air, just dealing with the team from top to bottom. And again, like I said, we have a lot more work to do, but just from the start, it felt right. When we first met, and I equate a lot of things to dating. Like I do a lot of dating analogies, and
you gotta date a little bit before you get married.
we had a courtship, right? Yes. And we tried out a couple of things. And it worked well. And then we eventually took it to the next step. And those things that we're trying, we're having a good track record there. And, we want to have a long-term relationship coming up, right? And so it's just been a really great natural fit on all fronts, and just looking forward to the continued collaboration. And as we go forward and trying even more things, is honing in on what we can do really well together.
Yes. Well, that was exciting. And when we first started talking, I think the digital aspect you were really interested in. But I think you were kind of still seeing how that was going to work with the construction company, because you're pretty much business to business.
Yeah.
And so that's a little bit of trickier. So the first product that you tried with us is called Data Vault. So for those of you who don't know what Data Vault is, it's the creepier things where we can go behind the Bartlett Cocke website and we can unscramble who's visiting on their site. About 30% of the people were able to get really good in-depth information. And these turn into, they're really your warm and your hot leads. A lot of things that we can do with that, we are able to pull all of their IP addresses when they come in, and we're able to pull out their email for sure. Sometimes we can get a little more in depth of what company they're with and name and so forth. What we do with that information is we can use it 4 parts. We can use it as leads for your sales. You can see who's on there and actually call them. You can do e-blast. We can mail them postcards. And then Juliana and our Google analyst, Monica, or Google specialist, she can take them, and Juliana can take them.
Yeah, we do so much with it. The first thing we do is we add it as a custom audience. So one thing that you can do when you go to just any other agency is just give them your existing customer base, right? And they just retarget the people that you already have. Hopefully they'll create a lookalike audience and expand on that. But with Data Vault, with us, we can retarget the people that are trying to date you, right? They're trying to shop you. On our list, we can even see how many times they've been on the site. And so we'll see somebody that's been on there 80 times, and maybe your sales department or your rep could talk to them about, closing the deal or filling in any questions that they might still have, or maybe just setting up that initial appointment because they've been, pretty much stalking you online. And then we can also create lookalike audiences too, based off of that. But we can I think one of the first projects that we did for you in the digital aspect before we started social media campaigns was the e-blast, right?
We did, and we also had a social pixel installed.
We did install the social pixel, but with the data vault, since we have that data and it's yours because it's on your site, we can turn around and do text campaigns, email campaigns. So let's say we see that somebody's really looking at one of your verticals, like the data center. We can make an entire email blast talking about the projects that you've recently done on data centers, and then send that to their email directly. And we'll have often not just their IP address, but their LinkedIn profile. So we'll know their job titles, their projected revenue from wherever they work at. So we can really, really get in there, as Kathy likes to say, creepy stuff. But I think for businesses, it's essential to try to close the deal on some of these really big projects that you guys have.
And what Kathy said at the beginning of this part of the conversation was, looking at digitally, and my boss, Luis Berumen, he's the vice president of strategy and innovation. That's in his title. And so he is a huge believer in strategy and innovation and trying new things, particularly if the competition may not be doing it either. And so we really feel like we're at the cutting edge of what we're trying to do from a marketing standpoint. And so like we were talking about before we started rolling the cameras, we have a really exclusive target audience. I can't put a billboard. I can't put a billboard on I-10. That really won't do much for me. It would look pretty and people would like to see it, but is that really our target audience? And so with Data Vault, like you said, Juliana, people are already looking at our website, whether it's on our careers page, they want to come work with us, whether they're a subcontractor wanting to do work with us that way. So we have that target audience. You're already interested in us. So let's gather your information, which I agree is very creepy how you do it, but it is very worthwhile and it is a very good thing. So how we use it, we've turned it into on our paid social ads. We've gotten that audience there. We've sent our postcards out to that audience. We've added them in other places as well. Our business development team has those folks and are seeing what types of contacts we have there. So again, as targeted as we can get, if you're already on our website, that, as you all know, means you're interested. And so let's use that as part of our target audience moving forward and retargeting ads. And so that's something that, I know we'll talk about, geofencing and other things later, but that has been a really big help for us just to get that target audience that we need and get that ROI, and not wasting money doing certain things. And so for us, drilling to who's really interested. And that to me is why the strategy sessions that we've held on the phone and will in the future is so important, because we talked about, we have that very specific group that we want to reach, and the traditional marketing like billboards and newspaper ads aren't the fit, but we have those built-in audiences that we know, and that's where we lead our marketing to.
And we're just becoming such a digital world. I mean, it's just the way the world's moving. So we got to go that way.
Two other really cool services that we have been doing for you in addition to the Data Vault is our geofencing and location listening. And for those of you that don't know what geofencing or location listening is, I'll start with geofencing. We basically take a specific area, like let's say a hospital, and we put a geofence around it, and we can feed ads into people's unused app space from everybody that's in there. So basically, if your decision makers are going to be at that hospital, or you want to show them the next project that you're doing, we can actually put the ads in all of the unsold ad space in that physical location. So, and then we track the impressions, and I think you've had really good results with the geofencing ads.
Specifically on you, we've been doing events.
That's right.
So that's been, tell us a little bit about that, because we've been impressed with the results.
It's been really great for us so far. And again, going back to it, we have such a specific target audience, and so we've done several large conferences in Texas where our target audience is at. For example, we did the TASB Midwinter Conference, or TASA Midwinter Conference in Austin. Thousands of K-12 superintendents, school board members that are decision makers. So we geofenced that area, sent them specific ads, and then they clicked to our webpage, to our K-12 page.
Right.
Another big one that we did was out in the Houston area. That was a really big safety tailgate party, and everyone that needed to be there, that was our target audience from the safety perspective, from a general contractor perspective. And so we sent those folks in that area ads, which sent them to another part of our website. And we're doing several in the next couple of weeks for higher education. We're doing one specifically for data centers. And so going back to what we talked about before, as targeted as our audience is, and we know the groups of people, the decision makers that we need are going to be at these conferences, let's target them with ads, specific ads that tell our story that they need to hear. And that's how we've been doing it. And we've had really great success with sending people to our website with clicks based off of those ads. And as we go forward, just continuing to hone in on not only conferences or specific events, but locations in certain regions, right? We talked earlier about wanting to get a more diversified portfolio in higher education. We know where all of these universities are located, and we know that we've done work with a lot of them. So let's try and do some more creative things to target folks in a specific area. Not just a conference, but where you work, for example. So that's why this has been so great for us, just because that's where the audience is, and that's how we want to capture them, because we know that we're not wasting our marketing funds on something that's not going to directly be viewed by our target audience.
And what's cool about what we were able to do with these specific events, a lot of these events, especially the one that you're talking about in Austin, had multiple host hotels around the conference center. So we were also able to encompass those host hotels. So when they were back in their rooms and they were on their social media, or they're calling favor, or they're, checking out different, things.
Uber Eats.
Uber Eats. We're able to also feed them ads in their hotel room as well. So that was really cool. The other thing that happened during these conferences was location listening.
Yeah,
so we were doing it at the same time.
At the same time, I was going to say, not only during the event do we feed ads while people are there, but while they're there, we pull their IP addresses so that in the future, later on, we can retarget everybody that was there. So it's super important to feed them in real time with your ads, but we also want to be able to continue retargeting them in the future. And just like you said, with those impressions that we're tracking, they go to your website. And with the data vault on your website, we're able to identify about 30% of all of that traffic. So it's just a continuous circle that we're feeding that just keeps working. One other thing that I didn't talk about is the Facebook pixel. And so unlike the data vault, it doesn't tell me who is on there, but I can basically track what people are doing on your website. So if they're going to higher education or K-12, I can track every time somebody clicks on that vertical or that market, how it's listed on your website. And then I can do a specific campaign and retarget those people, because I already know, hey, these people went 50 times in the last week. They've been on there, 10 times over the last 3 months, or whatever the case may be. And I can do specific retargeting campaigns on Meta specifically. So I think the pixels is also been crucial for our social media ads.
And also I think that's really cool about that is another key component of that is once they go into your site, so they go into your site and then they go back into social media where we are actually running your ads, they're going to be fed those ads as well, because they've already been to your site. So they're being tracked.
Yeah. And again, that just kind of sticks with the theme of what we've been talking about is you're already interested in us. And so that's our target audience. And for the location listening specifically, those are the decision makers. Those are the people that we want to get our ads in front of. And so we've used that information in various ways that you talked about, Juliana. And it's just to us, when we were looking at our strategy and how were we going to get ahead of the curve and how were we going to do innovative ideas, all of this was on the table, and all this is exciting because we feel like we're ahead of the game and we feel like we're leading in this space, and there's a lot more creativity to come which is the exciting part for us.
I think another like big point is during these conferences, they often happen like maybe once or twice a year. And when are you going to get all of the K-12 leaders in the same place at the same time, right? So once you know that they're there, to be able to feed them ads, to be able to pull their IP addresses, to direct them to your website. If you are doing this and your competitors aren't, it's a huge advantage for you guys when you're competing for the same bids or the same jobs, the same big projects. I think that recognition, even though it's not a billboard off of I-10, it does provide like a sense of credibility, I think, if they haven't heard who you guys are in the past 60 years, but that would be difficult.
And I think the best part about what we're doing and how we're being collaborative is that it tells the story of the men and women that do the work on our job sites. And you've seen all the ads that we've produced with you have been beautiful pictures of the buildings. You know, our social media ads that we're paying for have our, not only our buildings, but great testimonials from our people. And that's what we want to focus on is our people, our projects, and our partners. And everything that we've done marketing wise has focused there to that target audience and tries to tell that story. And so that's really been the exciting part, is to share the story and to amplify the story of the great people that do all of the amazing work on our projects.
Right. Love that. Love that. So you guys have recently just started the next thing we moved into. So we did the geofencing, we did the location listening, we did the data vault, and then we have moved into paid social media. And I think we're getting ready to start paid Google ads. I think I saw that come through just a little while ago. And then we're also doing paid LinkedIn. So do you want to talk a little bit about how that works?
So I know in the first month of the ads, we got close to 500 followers on Facebook, which may not sound like a whole lot, but when we're zoning in, like you said, on these super specific people that we want to show the ad to get 500 of them, I think is a big thing, especially within 30 days. And we just started April's ads, and I was looking, and we're over 100 new followers in addition to that. So how does that feel to see your Facebook page actually grow with prospects?
That's what we were wanting it to do. Right? You know, our couple of, you know, big keys that we're trying to do and that we're implementing with your team is, you know, brand awareness, name recognition. And that's where the Facebook likes and the Facebook followers have had a really big impact. And then the other big portion is just talking about how wonderful it is to work here and also getting our employees out there. Because as we get bigger, as people continue to move to Texas and we do more jobs, larger scaled projects, we need those skilled people. And so one of the big things was just having our folks that work here, that have been here for a while, that do great work, talk about their experiences, and then lead them to the careers page where we always have openings, right? We always have openings for various positions. And so those are really two key parts to our marketing strategy, is that brand awareness, name recognition, particularly in the Houston area, because as we know, it's such a large, vast area. Trying to target that can be a little bit difficult at times, but that's why the targeted ads that we're doing work so well. And then just to get great people to join a phenomenal company, talented individuals that, you know, abide by the core values, that have the same beliefs that we do, that want operational excellence, and that have proven that for their whole careers. Our goal, working on our social media, LinkedIn is where the majority of our people are, is the majority of the decision makers that we need to reach. And so targeting that audience on LinkedIn and being very specific and having a strategy to make that come to fruition as we continue to see the growth, then we tweak, right? As we talked about, we tweak what we do when we change the messaging up and we get that same target audience seeing more great things that we do and that our teams do. And so it's been really fun for us to see. And as it continues to grow, just excited to continue to hone in on that target audience. Because, the goal is, we have, by the way, a great stat, 80% repeat customers at Bartlett Cocke, which is tremendous. And that just goes to show you that the quality of work that the teams do, and the overall customer service is just top notch. But what we're trying to do is reach the audience that may not know a lot about us, or knew about us a while ago but may have forgotten, or somebody that doesn't know us at all. And so that's why the targeting is so important, to try and reach those folks. Because we know we have the 80% repeat clients that we keep doing really great positive work with. But now let's try and target those folks that are not the 80% repeat customers.
Right.
And that's really one of the big goals that we're working in tandem with your team on.
Yes. Love that.
Any type of employment ad on Meta is sometimes difficult because we can't retarget. We can't make lookalike audiences. So having just a diverse pool for your ad sets make the ads a lot more effective. But since you're running ads on LinkedIn and we're running similar ads on Facebook, they definitely complement each other. So I think that makes a big difference versus just using one platform. Whenever you can do kind of similar work on multiple platforms, I really do think they complement each other.
And you're right. And that's part of the strategy, because as you ladies well know, it's the amount of touches that you get with people. You know, you see it on Facebook, and then you see it on LinkedIn, and then you get retargeted with an ad maybe on X, or you see it on Instagram. And so, or you get the physical postcard, which you guys have done a great job with us on doing that as well. So the more that we can have different touch points, the more that they continue to see our logo and our name and get more interested. That's all part of the strategy. And, you know, that's what we talked about when we first met 6 months ago, is that we want to hit them in different mediums. We want to be visible in various places. And the example that I give is, you know, you may not see my e-blast for a couple days, but you're at home and you see the Facebook ad. Or if you don't see the Facebook ad, you are retargeted by Instagram, or you see it somewhere different, or you visit the website. And so just all those different touch points, and you know this being in marketing as long as you have, and just the expertise, that's what we're going for, is that touch point. Because the more that people learn about us, the more people research us, and the more they see our product, the more they like us, and the more that they know how trusted we are. And so that's a key part of the strategy that we've worked on together, is the various mediums and the various touch points to get that message across.
Yeah. And I love that you guys are using your people in the ads as well, because it gives the authenticity, and it shows that what we're talking about is that you guys are really down to earth and just great team to work with. So I love that about you all.
You know, my belief, and I've said this to our field teams before, is the folks that do the work, that are in the field, they are the best marketers and business developers that we have, because they deal with our subcontractors directly. They deal with our owners directly, past and present and future. So they have valuable information that our owners want to know, that our subcontractors want to know, and they enjoy their job. They enjoy what they do. They help build communities and have a positive impact. And so having the folks that do the work in the field, or in estimating, or in pre-construction, people want to hear from those folks, because they're the experts, and we want to position our people as thought leaders, because we have not just the 60 plus years of experience as a whole, but we have all of these, whether it's vice presidents, whether it's superintendents, project managers, project executives, the number of years of experience and the expertise that they have in their particular section is vast. And so showcasing our people and our projects is exactly what I think people want to see.
For sure.
Because they're getting it from the experts. They're getting it from the thought leaders. And that's why we feel it's so important to put them on the front lines, because, you know, like I said, they are the best spokespeople that we have, because they do the work tremendously well.
Yeah, I love that. Do you have any exciting projects that you can share? I know a lot of your stuff is confidential, but What can you tell us that's going to come?
Yeah, we do.
Give us the team.
It's funny because, it comes in droves sometimes, right? Like you'll get awarded several projects all at once, and it might be a month or two before you get another project. It's all based on fit, and it ebbs and it flows. We were just awarded another really big project in Medina Valley ISD. We're currently building their high school there, but now we're going to do another middle school in Medina Valley ISD. We were just awarded a really big athletics facility project in our Houston region for Blinn College. So that's close to A&M. That's the feeder school. That's a really big deal. We have several others that we think are coming down the pipe soon that I can't mention publicly, but I will just tell you it's higher education. We're looking at some data centers, some more industrial manufacturing work. I'll be in Houston next week, and I'll get to see one of the newer projects, which is the Welcome Center at the University of Houston downtown. So I'll get to tour that project. And what's great about that project is we have the capability to do some other marketing around that project. And if you know where that location is, it is prime in downtown Houston. And so part of my trip on Monday of next week is going to be to see what else could we possibly do here, whether it's digitally, whether it's putting up a really big crane with our logo on it to people to see when they're stuck in Houston traffic.
Love that.
So, and that's huge because, University of Houston and University of Houston downtown is a really great partner for us. And so that's a really great project. And, we've built a lot of stuff at the airport in San Antonio in years past. And there's some projects coming up, that would be great for us if we could be able to do some of those projects, or whether it's, more of that industrial stuff. And so again, our teams are constantly working hard for those. We have several, hopefully, award announcements of projects coming up, but I'm really looking forward to getting to see some of these newer projects and seeing where we can go. And in my head, I believe there's 5 or 6 potential projects that we will be awarded that I can't say at the moment because it's not official. But again, going back to that strategic plan, it's all in the diversification of our portfolio with the sectors that we mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
It's really exciting time.
Super exciting. So I think let's just have one last question to you. I know you probably have answered it all the way through, but what do you think your biggest what sets you apart from your competitors?
There's several things. And so we have the postcard that we sent out recently and that we e-blasted out. We had a section called What Sets Us Apart. And internally, that's what we call our differentiators because everybody, has what sets them apart. But what makes us very different, we're an employee-owned company. We have 116 employee owners, which is important because all the decisions that are made to benefit the employees, and the employees have a say. That's a really big thing for people that are looking to come and work for us is getting to be potentially an employee owner someday. That's a really big deal, but we're Texas based. We've been around for over 60 years and we've been in San Antonio for that long as well. That's where we originated. Yes. And, being in Central Texas after that and Houston after that. A big thing is the regional expertise, from our regional leadership down to our superintendents, our project managers. They live and work in the same communities. So you see them at the grocery store. They live in your town. Yeah. They're building your facility. They're building your school. They're building your distribution center. So we have that regional expertise. Those strong local relationships are huge, whether it's for subcontractors that we've worked with in Houston and Austin and San Antonio. Where can you get last second materials from? We have that type of relationship, but the owner relationship is really big. That we mentioned it earlier, 80% repeat clients. That's massive.
That's
huge.
huge.
I think that's highly underrated. But two really big things that set us apart, it's that CM at risk. So that's a part of a bid process. That's a part of a contract. And so that's where we take the project from the beginning. We're managing the project, and then we become the general contractor. So we see it through. And then design build is something that sets us apart. We have experts there. We work from the beginning on that project with the architect, with the engineer, and see that project all the way through after it's built. Those are really two big factors. Two other ones real quick, pre-construction, I feel is highly underrated, and the folks that do that for us have extreme expertise, whether it's from the estimating side, assistance with land procurement, pro forma analysis, all of those really big deals for the pre-construction portion. That's what our team really does a great job at. And then, of course, I mentioned it earlier, innovation and technology, whether it's 3D viewing of your project. Remember back in the day, you had to look at the plans on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
Now it's 3D.
Right.
And now it's BIM. And so it's going behind the scenes of 3D models, and it's drone flying, and it's just getting that look from above. Those are massive technology and innovation tools that our teams use. And so we really feel that those truly are our differentiators, and what sets us apart from the competitors is those items right there that you are just not going to get at a lot of other places.
Right. Well, thank you so much for being with us today and telling us more information about
being part of our episode 3.
Part of our episode 3, being on our team. Well, we love you on our team.
Thank you for listening to me for 45 minutes.
It was fascinating. I loved it.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's great to work for a great company with great leadership, but then the relationships that we get to build
outside of it.
Bartlett Cocke and Rudkin Productions, and just how we're very cohesive and moving forward. I'm just very pleased and just honored that we get to work together, and because it's fun too. Like, we laugh a lot when we have our phone calls and our meetings, and it's just a really great thing to have a partner that we can trust and that we can collaborate with and do great things with. So I'm really appreciative that you invited me on, and I really enjoyed it. So thank you very much.
Yeah, we're appreciative of you. Thank you.